Hi everybody, it's Lisa Van Groningen. I want to demonstrate for you today how to starch turn outer points. It's probably the question I get asked most often during class is how do I make my points pointy and not round or squared off? And it's also the demo that's been requested most often. So I wanted to tackle it here for you today. Starch turning points is just like any other starch turning, but there are two tips I want to share with you that you can do to help make your points pointier, okay? So here's what I've done here. I have my freezer paper template leaf, and I've already ironed it to fabric, and then I've done a rough cut about 1/4 of an inch away from the template all the way around. So that's the step I'm at here. That's the point I'm at here. Here's the first tip. You want to blunt cut these points, the fabric by these points. And I'm cutting about 1/8 of an inch away from the point. I'm not cutting all the way to the point because I need a fabric to cover that point and kind of tuck it into place so it doesn't fray out when you go to stitch, okay? So I'm definitely not cutting here at the point. I'm cutting about 1/8 of an inch away from the point. Still enough fabric to cover the point, but by cutting off that fabric, that is that much fabric that you don't have to try to cram, jam, stuff underneath this little area of the point. Doesn't look like a lot, but it makes a huge difference. So that's tip number 1 when you're starch turning outer points, okay? All right, now I'm going to go ahead and jump into the starch turning. We never want to start at a point. We always want to work into it. So I'm actually going to start here at the middle of the leaf. So I'm just going to paint some starch onto my fabric, being real careful not to get any on the freezer paper template, so just the fabric. And here is tip number 2. It's also super important. You'll see as I'm coming up to the tip or the point here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with the nose of my iron, set and pause right here on the tip of my template. So I'm just paused, I'm not moving anywhere. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take and pull this fabric down towards me and heat that into place. I didn't tug so hard that I'm bending the template or anything. I'm just pulling the fabric. And what I do when I pull the fabric is I'm actually gathering it slightly. And I'll show you that here. It looks actually a little strange, like we've rounded off that point, but all we've done is tucked it in and gathered up a little bit of the fabric so that when we go to starch turn the other side, you'll end up with a very nice point and not a lot of extra fabric to stuff under the point, if any fabric at all. Okay, let me show you that. So you can see how nice and pointy that is. You see I do have a little bit of a flag right here, a fabric flag sticking out, right? Okay, really easy to manage. I'm just going to get it wet, a little bit of starch, and I'm going to just fold it back once towards the center of the point. That's what that looks like. And now you can see the front side is just a nice pointy point. Okay, let me show it to you again. And also, when you're watching this video or rewatching this video, you can zoom in and get a closer look at this little tug I'm taking so you can get a better idea. Okay, so I put the starch on the fabric and I'm turning it over, and as the nose of my iron gets to the tip of my template, I'm going to just pause there, hold it in place, and I'm going to tug the fabric and then heat that up. Okay, I call it tucking in the point, tucking it into bed. Okay, and then when I come back here on the other side, there is very little fabric or flag to have to manage. The important part when you're taking that tug towards you is to not pull so hard that you bend the template so your point is no longer pointy, or that you make sure the nose of your iron is holding that template down so that when you take the tug, it doesn't bend the template. Here is the back side of that one, and here is the front side. I don't see much of a flag, maybe a hair right here. So I'll go back and get that wet and just fold that back once so it's all tucked under nicely before I go to stitch. You could just leave that extra flag hanging out there, and then when you're stitching you could just swipe it under, but I actually like to take care of them as best as I can while I'm starch turning. So there you go. Those are the two tips I recommend to making your points nice and pointy. Any other questions, just let me know. You can message me on my Facebook page, Kitten Caboodle Quilt Company, or you can text me. Have a great day.